This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now then, one of my favourite blues guitar albums happens to be this one, Midnight Blue by Kenny Burrell. And what I like about this album, and for that matter Robin Ford as well, who is very different to Kenny Burrell, but you know, they both do a similar kind of thing, which is to add some sophistication and harmonic complexity to blues. Normally you would assume that, oh, that's just going to be jazz then, but this manages to stay identifiably blues, and that was what I was trying to do in that solo that you heard at the top of the video. Incidentally, the settings I was using there to record that solo was this JTM 45 model in bias amp. And while we're on the subject, there is somebody who often posts comments in these videos basically berating me for not being plugged into an amplifier that was made in 1953 and mic'd up with all of the expertise and finesse of a seasoned, professional, experienced recording engineer. And as a result, he doesn't like my guitar sound, and he often tells me so. Well, do you know who does like my guitar sound? Me. And that's frankly all I'm bothered about. Anyway, here is a little bit of a breakdown of what was going on in that solo. Okay then, let's see what was going on here. This is the chord sequence I was playing over, and it's the chord sequence that we looked at in Wednesday's video, the one that I did on how to spice up a 12-bar blues chord sequence a little bit. And as you would expect, there are some slightly spicy things you can do in terms of your lead guitar over this. That said, for the most part, what I'm doing here is just playing standard common or garden pentatonic based blues licks. That kind of thing, you know, chucking in the odd chord note here and there, but that's basically the crux of it. I've done plenty of videos on that topic before, and I'll link to one in the description if I remember. Anyway, what we're going to do today is look at some of the spicier elements of what you can add in terms of the lead guitar part. And the first thing is basically whenever you've got this kind of movement where you're going from, say in this case, a G to a C, that's going up by a fourth. That is always a good place in any chord sequence where you can add a little bit of spicy kind of tension. And that's what we're going to do here. Over these chord changes here, where you go from the G via the D flat ninth to the C ninth, we're going to play A flat melodic minor, which looks like this. Now, why are we using that scale? Well, as I say, anytime you're going up by a fourth from the G, in this case to the C, what you can do is you can add tension, you can add dissonance, and the greatest dissonances you can add are the flat ninth, the sharp ninth, the flat fifth, and the sharp fifth. And in relationship to G, which is our kind of launch pad for this, the flat ninth is the A flat. The sharp ninth is the B flat. So those two notes, the A flat and the B flat. The flat fifth is the D flat, and and the sharp fifth is the E flat. And you can see that that A flat melodic minor scale contains all of those dissonant notes, okay, and you've also got the G in there as the sort of anchor point for it. So it's just a good scale to kind of create that jazzy sort of tension. Here's what it sounds like played over those chord changes, starting off on a G7 and going via the D flat ninth to the C ninth, and you'll hear when it starts getting a little bit jazzy by using that melodic minor scale. And when you use the melodic minor scale 1 fret above, because that's what we've done, we use the A flat melodic minor scale, which is 1 fret above the G chord that we're kind of launching it from. When you use that melodic minor scale like that, it is known as the super Locrian mode, or sometimes referred to as the altered scale. Okay, the next point at which you can add a little bit of spicy shenanigans is when we go from the C ninth up to the C sharp diminished. Okay, basically all I really ever do with this chord is just play the arpeggio of it, and the notes in a C sharp diminished are C sharp, E, G and A sharp, like that, okay? And whenever you have a shape for that, because all of those notes, if you were paying attention on the ugly chords lesson, whenever you have a chord, a diminished chord, basically all of the notes in that chord are 3 frets apart. C sharp to E is 3 frets, E to G is 3 frets, G to A sharp is 3 frets. So any pattern that you have for that particular arpeggio will repeat every 3 frets. So here's, I think this is the one I played in the solo. It repeats here 3 frets lower. And again here, like that. And here's what it sounds like over the chord changes. Okay, the next point at which we're going to add a little bit of spiciness into proceedings is over the E7 to the A minor 7, and basically we're doing that kind of going up by a fourth thingy from the E to the A. It's just, that's the easy way to kind of figure it out. Just look on the 6th string and go to the 5th string at the same fret. That's always going up by a fourth. And so we've got an E7 going to an A minor 7. E7, what we can do is we can add in some of those jazzy tensions again, those jazzy dissonances, you know, the sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 5, flat 5. And we're only going to really use one of them here. That's the flat 9th. So if I add a flat 9th into an E7 chord, E7 is E, G sharp, B and D. If I just put the flat 9th in there, which is an F, 1 fret above the E root note, then you get E, F, G sharp, B and D. If you lose the E note and just have F, G sharp, B and D, you've got another diminished arpeggio. You've got the F diminished arpeggio, and that might look like this. Okay, and once again, that's a shape that repeats every 3 frets on the neck, because that's what diminished arpeggios and chords do. Here's what that sounds like over the E7 going into the A minor 7 chord. Okay, now we come to the A minor 7, D7, G7 part of the chord changes. If you watched the video on Wednesday, then when I was explaining the chord sequence, you will know that basically what we've got here is the 2 chord, A minor 7, going to the 5 chord, D7, going to the G7, which is in this case functioning as our 1 chord. So, What we can do over a 2-5-1 sequence like this, minor 7, then going to the 5 chord of a 7th chord and so on, is you can use the melodic minor scale again. We used the melodic minor scale, we used A flat melodic minor over the G7 as it was going to the C9 chord earlier. We're going to use it in a slightly different way this time. We're going to use over the A minor 7, which is the chord that we're sort of launching into this 2-5-1 sequence from. We're going to use the A melodic minor, which is A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and then another octave. Like that. That is the A melodic minor scale. And there's just enough tension in that scale, created largely by the G sharp note over the A minor 7 and the D7, that it just sounds a little bit spicy and interesting. And well, here's what it sounds like over the top of the A minor 7 to D7 to G, the 2-5-1. And then we come right to the end of the chord sequence where we've got the D augmented chord taking us back into the G7 at the beginning of the next pass through the chord sequence. An augmented chord is basically made up of stacked 4-fret intervals. So if you have a D, you go up 4 frets from D, it takes you to F sharp. You go up 4 frets from F sharp, it takes you to A sharp. And you go up 4 frets from A sharp, it takes you back to D again. And that's an ideal place to use something called the whole tone scale, which is just a scale made up of 2-fret intervals. So obviously, you know, kind of 2 goes into 4, doesn't it? So you're going to get, you know, a scale made up of 2-fret intervals that is ideal to use over an augmented chord. So that might look like this. That's a D whole tone scale. And here's what it sounds like played over the D augmented and resolving back into the G at the next chord change. So there you have it. There are the bases of the licks that I played, the slightly spicy licks that I played over the top of that slightly spicier 12-bar blues chord sequence. Hope you've learned something from it, and hope you have fun with it. And there is, of course, a full tab and backing track and that clip that you've just seen there of me explaining everything. The tab is in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, and it's all up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description. Thank you so much to everybody who's supporting me on Patreon. Massively, massively appreciated. It's only $3 a month, and you get all of these extra little goodies that go along with these YouTube lessons. So if you're thinking about checking them out, thank you in advance. And that is pretty much all I've got for you today, folks. Hope you found the video useful, entertaining, informative, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not give me a like while you're at it? But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.